Good day and welcome to our One Flesh
Good afternoon.
Sundays. We are back. We are
Again.
back. We are back. Please tell us if you can hear us. We had some technical difficulties and we had to get them resolved, but we think we're doing better now.
Yes.
So please do let us know if you can. Oh my goodness. Please do let us know if you can hear us. We would love to hear from you. Let us know where you're tuned in from. Uh, and our topic today, as you can see, is the copycat marriage.
Yes.
And
Copycat marriage. Copycat.
Yes. We're going to be talking about copying other people's stuff and not doing it the original way. And we're going to be talking about comparison and comparing each other. That's what we're talking about today. Thank you so much for tuning in with us. I am Kasseem Forde. This is my beautiful wife, Chadira. And we're always happy to come and just chit chat with you. Today we are doing One Flesh again as usual. It's a program designed to encourage couples to just be one in vision, one in purpose, just encouraging oneness. We talk about things that encourage persons to come together, and that is our main thing, is just encouraging you to come together when there's so many things that today make it seem like it's a normal thing to separate. It's an okay thing to just go and try to do your own thing, but we're encouraging you to come together. Oneness, unity as a couple is the thing that we promote. And one of the things that we believe challenges oneness as couples, or even in relationships that are not couples as yet, is the whole idea of comparing each other, or looking at the couple next door and thinking to yourself, why can't we be like them? Or why can't my spouse be like, that person? Why can't my wife be like her? and and we're gonna talk about that this afternoon.
Yeah, so there's early in my marriage, I used to look at other people's marriages and I used to be like, you know what, I wish my marriage could be like that. I wish that this could have looked like this or that could have looked like that. And trust me, I mean, I'll be transparent. I don't know if it happened to you before. Maybe it did, maybe it did not. But for me, there was a point where I was looking at other people's marriages and saying that, why my husband can't be like this? Why he can't do this way? Why can't he look at this person? And trust me, over time I realized, oh, quickly I realized that that's a wrong place to be in. That's a wrong. You don't want to be in that kind of a trap. Then I would say kind of a trap, because your marriage is supposed to be unique. God created you unique, and you're supposed to be, yes, you're created in the image of God, yes, but you are not created in the image of someone else's marriage. And God created you unique. So, and your uniqueness adds value to your marriage.
That's why we always saying that each marriage has its own identity, and even
Yes.
as we come and we talk to you, we share, our testimonies about our marriage. Our intention isn't necessarily for you to go and try to be like us, but that you would take some of the principles, some of the concepts, and look at your marriage and see if you can improve, or if there's anything that you want to implement. There's some things that we don't do, or that might not work for us, that will work miracles for you. So it's not about being a copy. It's about taking principles that are reasonable and trying to see if they would work for your marriage. Even as you listen to us, we hope that you would gain wisdom and not try to be a mirror of us. As Chadira said, We all have our own uniqueness
Uniqueness.
about ourselves, and I think each couple was created with a unique purpose, and should have a unique vision. So it's not necessary that you should look like anybody else.
No.
And I know even for Shadira and I, there might be persons that might look at us and they might say, "Oh, this couple always together." Boy, I wonder
Yeah,
if
they always
I
smiling.
wonder. Yeah, they say we always
They
smiling.
always smiling.
And they might say, "Oh, I wonder if you don't need some space sometimes," and it's
So you
always
need to go
together.
and stuff
But
sometimes.
it mightn't work for you, but it works for us. We spend a whole lot of time together, but we do get our space. But it just happens that a significant amount of our time we spend together. We enjoy each other's company, and that's the way it is. And that might be different for different people. And we tell you about different things that we do, and it might be different for you. Um, and sometimes you might go and you might find somebody, some popular person.
A reality TV star.
Yeah, or you see this couple, this Hollywood couple.
Or this couple in church who look like they got it all together.
Yeah, they got it all together, and you're like, man, why can't my marriage be like theirs?
Why can't my marriage look like that? Why can't my husband be like that? Why can't my wife dress like that? Huh? What she got dressed so pop down? Why she got look like her?
Yes, yes. We do that. We look at these people, we see the outside, and the reality is sometimes you're looking at this beautiful couple, but when they go home, it's chaos. It is chaos, but they have this facade that makes it seem as if, it is all beautiful and everything. And when you're looking at them, you're like, oh my God, but you need to just focus on you and appreciate the goodness that you have in your marriage, because that is dangerous. It is so dangerous because it leads us to being unhappy and not content with what we are, and it leads us to not appreciate the good things. Because when we're looking at other couples and we're looking at the things that we don't have that they have, it might be a nice car or
A nice house.
a nice house,
A nice job.
They might look like if they're financially stable.
They have plenty children and they're well off. People
Yeah.
looking at those things too. But there's some things to consider when looking at these marriages. First of all, you have to look at the difference in background. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, I hinted to it a little earlier. You have to consider, that their background is different to yours, and their history. You don't know where they're coming from. You don't know what they went through to get from where they are from where they were to where they are now. So it's not wisdom. It's not wise to be looking at a couple, admiring them, and wishing that you had what they had, without having a good understanding and revelation of, how they got there, what sacrifices they made. They might have gone through some hell and high water to get where they are now.
Yeah.
And you're wishing for what they had without realizing what you might have to go through to get what they got now.
And it could even be different because this person with this background could have come from a well-off family, and they got everything together. They probably they got everything easy for them. They got their car easy, the house easy, the job easy, everything easy. And you come from a different background. You probably didn't have it all together, but you're looking at this person that have everything. You're trying to imitate that, but it's a different background. If you come from a background where you family had to work hard to get where they are, and then have like a start like someone who's well off, that's a different background. So it's hard to imitate somebody like that.
Yes.
Looking from the flip side.
And then you got to look at personalities as well. We all have different personalities. Even our marriages have different personalities.
Like we love to smile.
Yes.
We a couple love to smile. Not because I like to smile, my husband like to smile, and you go home and say, hey, why you have to be looking so sulky? Why you can't be pleasant and smile like the Fords, They're always smiling, you're always looking sulky, you're unapproachable, how you want people to approach you. See? You're pointing, you're casting stones, all of these different things.
Exactly. And See, you got to realize that your personalities may be different and you may mesh differently. And because of the personalities in a different relationship, they function differently because that's the way that they achieve their oneness. And then you also have to think about maturity.
Yes.
Different levels of maturity, cause relationships to look different. The persons in the relationship to respond to each other differently. The way I interact with Chadira now is way different to when we just started dating or just got married because I understand her more now. I respond to the way she responds to different things now. So when you're early on in a relationship and you're looking at some older couples and you're wishing for what they have, there's some things that just come through growing together, maturing together. That it's not so easy to just copy.
There's a lot of things to consider when you're trying to copy, and we can look at the marriages that are out there, the good strong marriages that are out there, um, and use it and receive principles and wisdom to overcome our struggles in our marriage. If you have any struggles, but don't look at someone's marriage and try to copy it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean,
Use it as a guide.
yeah, look at the principles, look at what they do. What is it that they're doing that makes them, you know, move like, a well-oiled machine or makes them, communicate so well? Like, what is it that they're doing differently to what you're doing? And you can probably try to implement or try some of those principles, but to try to just copy, a couple and just be trying to be exactly like the next couple um, is not reasonable. Taking the principles and being able to mesh it and tweak it to your personal context, to the way your relationship functions is the best approach to take.
And what happens in our house is different to what happens in your house. And I could admire people's marriages, but we are different. Nothing wrong with admiring.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's nothing wrong with different. If you
Different is
are a couple and you feel like your relationship is different to everyone else's, nothing is wrong with being different. Not because everybody else looks this way means that you need to look that way too. No, and you have a unique identity as a couple. Embrace it, enjoy it. It's just who you are, and if it's working for you, if you're happy, if everything is moving the way you think it should move, you don't need to look like nobody else. Be okay with being different as a couple. Be okay with it.
And one important thing to note, another important thing to note is that everybody has a starting point.
Yes.
There may be some people in marriage that have been married longer than you, maybe by years, maybe by decades. So you can't look if you just married and you just getting your feet in the water. You can't look at somebody married and try to imitate it, especially if they've been married for 10, 15, 20, 30 years. And you're married for what, 1, 2 years, 3 years? Nah, that's trouble right there.
I mean, it goes both ways as well because I know that there might be some couples that are older and they've been together for a while and they've been struggling and they still been trying to hold on before them. They're seeing these young couples and they wishing to themselves, man, I remember when it used to be like that. But the thing about it is, they're gonna come to the point where they're gonna start going through their process, and they're gonna be rubbing against each other, and they're gonna come to that point where they're gonna take their time. Everybody has their process. Just embrace with this time and space that you're in. Embrace the time and space that the season that your marriage is in, and not another marriage, they might be looking differently in a way that you might want, but they just probably in a different season than your marriage, and that's okay. just keep going, just keep going, just keep doing, just keep pressing, keep working on the little, struggles that you have. Work on them one by one.
Yes. And so we need to be the best that we can be. We need to look like ourselves. Kasseem and Chadira, that's the best we can be. We can only be Kasseem and Chadira. We can only be the Fords because that's the best
That's
that
who we
can
are.
be. We can't be like Mr. Tom, Mr. and Mrs. Tom, or Mr. and Mistress Harry. We can't because that's not who we are.
That's true. I'm Kasseem, and I'm happy with who I am.
He's
And
embracing his
you have to,
Kasseemness.
you have to embrace who you are, and I think that is so important. But I think we're gonna talk about that a little bit more later down.
And you know what? Another thing too, even in marriage, people look at other people's children. Oh, their child. Oh, look at their children. Look how their children dress. Look how they're smart. Look how they this. Look how they that. Look how they going to the nice schools and stuff like that. And you want to break your husband back,
Oh
break
boy.
his back, and break his bank account just to make sure that your child have the nicest clothes, that your child going to the best schools and all these things like that. Really? Who are you trying to impress? God? Or are you trying to impress people?
That sounds like people to me, and that's part of what the issues that trying to copy other people make, because it leads you to making unreasonable, irrational decisions that is not in the best interest of your own marriage, because you're looking at other persons and trying to be exactly like them, and then you don't realize that, hey, you're not in the space, you're not in the income bracket, you're different, and you're still trying to push yourself to be like these other couples, and it's not reasonable, it's not realistic. And that's just one example of something that you might do, trying to be like somebody else. And while you're trying to be like somebody else, you are putting your own marriage, your own family at stake.
So we are killing that thought. We are binding that thought of comparing your marriage to other people's marriage. In Jesus' name, we bind that. Yes. So, even when you get some of the things, because there are people who try to copy other people's marriages and they do succeed in trying to look like them, but you know what has happened? You won't have enough. You're going to be greedy. You're still going to want more. You're still going to want more and more and more. There's always a bigger house. There's always a bigger car. There's always a better something forever. There's always going to be a better something. You're going to always want more and more and more and more and more and more and more. So it's a dangerous spot to be in, dangerous ground to be in. You will find yourself trapped. So again, we're gonna kill that. We're gonna bind that in Jesus' name.
Yeah, we're binding up that copycat, that copycat spirit, that copy, that comparison, that thing that wants you to not to try to be like somebody else. God created each and every single one of us uniquely, and He put the two of us together for a unique purpose. And we need to be who He created us to be together in order to accomplish the purpose that God designed for us. So if we're trying to be something else, then we're going off course. We're missing the mark, and we're not even partaking in the thing that God wants us to partake in, which is to even enjoy the process and the journey as a couple. Learning each other and growing and gaining the vision and taking the steps together towards what God has for us.
You know what came to my mind? You know what, like you go to these conferences or these marriage workshops, marriage seminar, conference. I know we ladies have a lot of it. You guys have a little bit of it. I must say, but we have a lot of it. And when we go to these conferences and stuff like that, you get all the good stuff, all the principles of knowledge, you get all excited, you want to go and fix your marriage, you want to go home, and you come home and you look at your husband and it's like, or you look at your wife and it's like, okay, after all this food and knowledge, this is what I gotta work with. This is what you gotta work with. And all you want to impose your bigger conference, a day of conference, You want to impose that on your wife or your husband all in one day.
Yeah,
You're
that's
gonna stress
unrealistic.
yourself out. You're gonna stress yourself out, and you're gonna stress your wife or your husband out. Both.
Yeah, it's unrealistic. You know, the conferences are good. The books are good, but as I said before, take one step at a time.
Yes.
And do it together. Don't try to impose anything on the next. Come in agreement.
Right. In
And
agreement.
and if you're going through a book, and the intention of going through this book is to improve your marriage, you take it one chapter at a time. You implement the things one at a time, because it can be really overwhelming trying to do all kinds of stuff, and then you realize, man, this is hard, because you're trying to just do a drastic about turn, just like that. But one step at a time. And you know the thing about it is, even beyond that, you have to be careful of the people that you have around you, the couples that you intermingle with. And it's good to have couples that you can confide in and talk to and interact with, but you have to be careful of couples that, in the same discussion of comparison, make these subtle comparisons between themselves and you, and would probably try to impose the way that they do things on you. Like having a conversation about something, and they be like, we don't think you should be doing it that way. I think you should do it this way because we do it this way, and we think this is the best way. This is the most reasonable way. Yeah, that might be the most best and reasonable way for them, but that doesn't mean that it's the best and reasonable way for you. So you have to be careful about, these couples, interactions with couples, and how, and it could be fruitful, but you have to be careful about, how you compare yourselves with couples that you would interact with on a regular basis. You have to be strong. You have to be strong in your decisions as a couple, in terms of what decisions you've made as to how you're going to do certain things, and standing by those decisions, and not even trying to fall into the peer pressure that would come from other couples that might feel as if their way is the better way of doing things. It's best to just politely say, that's the way you do it. We appreciate you. You guys are amazing, but we don't do it that way. We think that this is the way that we should do it, and it's working for us, and we don't think a good enough reason to change is to be just like you. Amen.
Amen. So we just want to give us a few shout outs. Hello to Castell, Dominique. What's up?
Greetings, family.
Yes. Let me see.
Good to have everyone that's tuned in. Special greetings to you.
We have here Abigail. Hello, and my brother's online. Good afternoon, bro.
Well, I see Gavin tuned in. Greetings to you guys. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Just tell us hello. Say hi. We want to hear from you. We want to hear where you're from. We want to hear your experiences with comparison. How has it been for you in your marriage? Or have you been in an experience where you saw somebody comparing themselves with your marriage, or have you compared yourself with someone else, and how did you overcome that? What did you do to combat that whole concept of comparison? We would like to hear from you.
Yeah, so if you feel convicted by this afternoon, or encouraged or blessed by this afternoon, that's great. And if you're convicted, it happened to most of us. Comparing to other marriages, it happens. And at least you have knowledge about it, and at least you're aware of it, and you can work on it, and you're gonna be all right. You're gonna be all right. You guys are going to make it.
Yes, I agree. We are all going to make it. Um, and the thing about it is, we've been talking a whole lot about comparing our relationship in general, but we have to also talk about comparing our spouses. And me looking at Chadira and thinking to myself, why can't she be like such and such, and why can't she do this, and why can't she do that? Because it's really easy to do that.
Yeah.
But it's, as we said, it's dangerous, because what happens is, um, Shadira could get to the point where she could feel like if she's, unappreciated. It could come to the point where I looking at so much of the negative that in my mind I get, discontented, and I don't look at and see the great values and great qualities that she has in her, because I'm looking at someone else and probably one or two traits that that person has that my wife doesn't have, and the 20 something that she does have, I am not even taking into consideration.
True. And I must admit that early in the marriage, I used to compare. It may not have been so verbal, but it was subtle. Like for me, I didn't say word for word like I wish you were so and so, like word for word. But with me, I if you ask me a question, I will want to give you an answer right away, just like that. Now with my husband, if I ask him a question, he's gonna take his time. He's gonna think about it before he give an answer. And
Mhm.
while that is a good quality, I didn't see it as a good quality because for me it was like I need my answer no, no, no. You're taking too long. Why you have to take so long? Why you can't answer one time? But why can't you? I didn't really compare like somebody else, but you could sense a subtle comparison. Like why you can't answer quickly? Why you can't answer quickly? And sometimes when he do answer, I would sometimes like shun his advice. I would say shun his advice. I didn't listen to his advice, and that's the reason why is because I didn't value his advice. That's the honest truth. I didn't value his advice, but God had convicted me with that, and opposites do attract. While I'm very outspoken and quick to answer, he's not quick to answer. He might prefer to think before he speak or act, and which is good. And trust me, with him being like that, it saved me a lot of headaches, a lot of stress, a lot of a lot of not having to go back and tell people sorry or rephrase my words just because he had that type of patience, especially when I want to say something to someone. He'd be like, Shadira, no, Shadira, I think you should sit and think about it, or think about it, give it some thoughts. Maybe that's not the way it's going. I know what I'm saying. I know what I'm thinking. I know what I'm thinking. I have my thoughts together, and it's like, and it's like, and it's like, you know what? I was vexed. I was upset, but I said, you know what? I'm just gonna follow what he said, and in following what he said, it has been a blessing. And even though I thought it wasn't a good quality in the beginning, it is a good quality that he has patience to think about what you're gonna say before you actually say it. Saves you stress, saves you a lot of headache. And I am grateful to the advice he has given me, and I'm grateful, very, very grateful for his patience that he have and he not having to speak quickly. I am grateful for that. So I once saw that as a weakness of his, but I realized that is a strength. So I say all this to say, know that sometimes there's qualities in your wife that a wife or a husband. There's some great qualities, but sometimes we want a perfect wife, we want a perfect husband, but just know that your wife or our husband is not perfect. But again, I repeated myself, but again, they have great qualities. It may not be like other people's qualities, but they do have great qualities because they are unique in their own right. And I say this to say that when you see the good in them, rejoice in the good and magnify the good. A lot of times, even like myself, I would see the good, I'll be like, yeah. But when you see the bad, you want to magnify the bad, you wanna highlight it, you wanna point it out and everything like that. But we can work on those. Rather than pointing it out, work on them together as one flesh, as a team. And when you see your husband or wife do something good, highlight it, magnify it, celebrate it.
Right. And no, that's a perfect example that she gave that highlights how you comparing or talking about your spouse can lead you to being unhappy and discontent. And that discontentment leads to dishonor because when you're not happy, it makes it difficult to value your spouse. And when you can't value your spouse, it becomes uh, uh, difficult to even honor anything they say, anything they do, especially when they do good things. That's why you gotta be so careful, and even sometimes it's some things that we have even in our own mind. We talk about the whole idea of um, the preconceived notions of how a wife should be and how like this. I don't know just what a wife should be and what a husband should be.
You want some water?
What a wife should be, what a husband should be. Sometimes it's those concepts in our minds that we are comparing our spouse to that could be creating issues rather than necessarily comparing them to a particular individual or a particular couple. I encourage everyone to take stock of
Yes, you're trying to catch a fly, guys. That's why you stand up and down.
take stock of the good, appreciate the good, acknowledge the good, and that's what Chadira is saying. And enjoy each other, honor each other, value each other, and all the qualities that you have.
Yes. And that's all we have to say in a nutshell. Don't copy, do not
No leaking.
thirst. Yes, we're being real close to real. Yes, don't copy someone's marriage. You can look at other people's marriage and be inspired, be motivated to do better, and you can use it as a guidance, like I said. But don't copy. Don't be a second edition.
There's just one final thought I had, and that was even the comparison that comes with the type of household you grew up in and the type of background that you had. Sometimes you might have grown up in a house where your mother treated your father a certain way or your father treated your mother a certain way, and you grew older and then you realize, oh, you want your spouse to be just like how your mother was or just like how your father was. I don't know what's going on here. Just like how your mother was or just like how your father was. And you put that unrealistic expectation. That's not good. Your spouse isn't necessarily supposed to be a copy of your mother or your father. Yes, there are going to be some qualities in those individuals that you admire that you find in a spouse, but trying to have a replica is not healthy. And honestly, I don't know why you'd want to be dating or married to your mother or your father anyway. So um, that's just keeping it real. So as he said, there's no such thing as a perfect human being. I don't think there's no such thing as a perfect husband or a perfect wife or even a perfect marriage. You've got to find your identity. You've got to find what works for you and work it to the maximum to achieve the goals, the purpose. So that even as a couple, you guys could leave the legacy that you want to leave on the earth when you're gone. And you're not gonna get that by being a copy of somebody else. If you're copying somebody else, they're gonna get they have the trademark. So you're not really leaving a legacy. You're just being a copy. So what are you as a couple doing? What is the imprint that you're making? What are you as a couple to be remembered for? Who are you as a couple? What are you to be known for? Those are the questions I think that are interesting and that you should be asking yourself. All right. Thanks to you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Thanks to those who commented. We still want to hear from you, even if you're watching this after the live is over. Please leave a comment. Tell us about your marriage. Tell us if there's something that you think would be an encouragement to anybody that's watching this video. Please leave a comment, especially in relation to this topic, and we will reply to you. And we want to hear from you. If there's something that you'd like for us to talk about, a topic that you'd like for us to cover that we haven't covered as yet. We have a few coming up for you. We're here,
So a few touchy ones, but yeah, we're gonna do it anyway.
Yes, we're keeping it real for real. It's one flesh, and we feel like we gotta be one flesh, like sugar and water. You mix them together, you can't see the difference, but you can taste the flavor.
Yes.
Thank you guys. God bless you all. Have a wonderful week. Love on each other and be one flesh.
Yes.
God bless you.
Bye. Bye. See you next week. Same time, same place. Facebook world. Yes.